Take a look at this 23-year stock market chart for HFCL. What do you see here? A business that showed huge growth in the first few years. Tremendous amount of returns generated for its investors in what I call the growth phase for HFCL. Then something happened and almost 95% of all the wealth invested into this stock was wiped out in a matter of year and a half. This is what I call the wealth destruction phase. Then for 20 years from 2000 up until 2020, the stock was in a stagnation phase. No major upside in the stock, no major downside as well, but complete loss of value of money due to inflation. Then from 2020 onwards, after almost 20 years of hibernation, the stock has finally started to deliver in what I call the turnaround phase for HFCL. So if you are an investor in this stock or if you want to invest in HFCL, please watch this video till the very end. I'm going to be telling you exactly what went wrong with HFCL, what went right with them in 2020, what are the financials looking like, what are the risks involved, and most importantly, what is the future projection for the HFCL's stock. All of that and much more, let's find out in this video. Take a look at this growth chart for HFCL. The stock from a low of 37 rupees in 1999 hit a high of 2100 in 2000, only in a matter of 15 months. In terms of the yearly returns, it gave close to 5,500% returns to its investors, again only in a span of year and a half. Why did all of that happen? To understand that, first know that HFCL was in the telecom space. It used to manufacture optical cables and optical fibers and assist the growth of the telecom sector in India. Now, this was a phase when the telecom sector was also developing and growing along with the growth of the country. And HFCL was one of the oldest and one of the only players who was in this particular area and segment. Naturally, the clients that HFCL had were all the telecom players that were operating in that particular time. As a result of that, they got huge amount of contracts in the private and in the public space, which is why you see the kind of growth that you see in this chart on your screen. But post that, what happened, as a result of which the stock price lost almost all of its value? Let's find out. Take a look at this wealth destruction chart for HFCL. What do you see here? From 2000, in a matter of 1.5 to 2 years, the stock from a high of 2100 rupees hit a low of 74 rupees. That's 96% of the investors' wealth wiped out. That means that all the wealth, all the returns that the investors had got in this growth phase were wiped out in this wealth destruction phase. But why did all of this happen? Why such a knee-jerk reaction in the stock price? It was at this point of time that the owners, the promoters of HFCL were accused of colluding with the famous stockbroker Mr. Ketan Parekh. It was alleged that they had paid 700 crore rupees to the stockbroker in exchange for rigging the stock price of HFCL. When this news came out in the market, it caused a huge uproar among the investors of HFCL, and naturally the stock took a huge hit. Eventually, Mr. Ketan Parekh was convicted in a stock market manipulation scam, and this caused a further decline in their stock price, to an extent that 96% of the wealth was wiped out in 1.5 to 2 years. The impact of this case was so high that it took 10 years for HFCL to settle the case with SEBI. Because of this kind of timelines, the stock never recovered from the kind of hit that it had seen in these 2 years. What happened post 2021? Were we getting ready for an extremely long consolidation cycle? Let's find out. From 2001 onwards, take a look at this chart. You will see that for 20 long years, the stock price did not see any major movement. No major upside, no major downside, but a complete loss of value of money due to inflation on a year-on-year basis. Why did all of that happen? The impact of the case of the promoters with Mr. Ketan Parekh had a huge impact on this. The sentiment was totally against the company. At this point of time, newer telecom players also started to make way into the market. They also started to get newer and newer contracts, and HFCL could no longer deliver the kind of performance that it used to deliver in its growth years. But a major upside for HFCL was that their revenues and their profits were not significantly affected even after all of this crisis. Their revenues, while they did not grow substantially, but they did not fall substantially as well. If you take a look at their revenue chart from 2012 onwards, for the past 6 to 7 years, they have showed a decent growth in their revenue. Similarly, if you talk about the profit, yes, the company became a loss-making company briefly for a short period of time, but they were able to recover from that as well. It was just that the sentiment was so against HFCL that their stock price never really took a huge upside in the near future. But post 2020, were we getting ready for a once in a century kind of a turnaround? And that is where the most important and the interesting part of the video comes in. Let's find that out. Take a look at this chart of HFCL from 2020 onwards. From being a penny stock, in a span of 2 years, it has given almost 500% returns. It has even hit a 3-digit mark of 100 rupees a short while ago. What caused this great turnaround? After 21 years of hibernation, after 21 years of no growth at all, why did HFCL show this kind of improvement? It was at this point of time that COVID struck the world. Every profession, every business had to move to the virtual online mode. Naturally, the demand for internet, the demand for broadband equipment surged through the roof. And it was at this point of time that it was a classic case for HFCL being at the right place at the right time. They started to ramp up their manufacturing capacity of optical cables and optical fibers, which were very, very essential to assist in the growth of this telecom space when everything moved online. India was transitioning from 3G to 4G and in a very early stage of transition towards 5G as well. And HFCL was among the few players to be the front runners in this aspect. HFCL also garnered government projects to provide internet-based facilities in several villages as well. And hence, their order book started to go up because of the kind of performance, because of the kind of growth that they had started to see as a result of the upsurge in the internet and broadband requirement. As a result of all this, the investment arm of Reliance Industries took a 3% stake in HFCL, which again goes to show that the kind of response, the kind of growth that HFCL was seeing was getting noticed in the broader market as well. HFCL also participated in the PLI scheme of the government, in which they are going to produce those cables locally in order to assist the growth of the telecom space. They earmarked close to 200 crores to assist the growth of the transition of India from 4G to 5G. And at this point of time, it just goes to show that HFCL had established itself as a very strong player in the telecom space. But after all of this, what is the future projection of HFCL stock? Is it a good enough buy candidate? What are my personal opinions on this? Let's find that out in the next segment. HFCL stock is hovering in the range of 60 to 85 rupees. In fact, it had hit a high of 100 rupees a short while ago. What would the future then look like? To be honest, I am extremely convinced that this turnaround is here to stay. They have been able to report a growth in their revenues and a growth in their profits on a year-on-year basis, which just strengthens my belief that HFCL will continue growing in the near future as well. On top of that, by ramping up their manufacturing capacity, by making adequate preparations in the 5G space, they are showing that their order book is also sitting at very healthy levels. Apart from all of this, HFCL is in an industry that is continuously growing from a transition towards 4G and then to 5G and even to 6G in the future. HFCL will just continue to grow their top line and profit because of this evolving and growing industry as well. My personal opinion is that this stock will definitely be hitting a target of 120 to 130 in the next year or so, but this stock also comes with its own set of risks. This is not a stock recommendation video. This is just for educational purposes, where I am telling you that I believe that HFCL can grow sustainably in the near future. Alright, I hope you enjoyed the analysis of HFCL stock. Do subscribe to Finance Lens, follow us on Instagram, and I'll see you the next time.